What's up, everybody? It's Raphael Garcia back once again for another episode of the MMA Ratings Hangout. Definitely appreciate you spending your time with me on a Sunday morning. Talk some more about MMA and the world of combat sports in general. So let's jump right into things and talk about last night's card and just some action and news that we saw from this past week in the mixed martial arts industry. Obviously, we all know of UFC Fight Night 65, I believe it is. Yeah, 65, where Stipe Miocic and Mark Hunt fought down in Australia. I caught most of this card. I didn't catch the whole thing because I was out for a little while, even though it did start late, which was because of the time difference. I think it didn't start till like 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So what I saw was just some of the main event. I think I'm from the excuse me some of the end of the prelims and some of the main events. So I'll definitely talk about what I saw and just give some recaps to some of the fights that I didn't see as well. Obviously, in the main event, Stipe Miocic earned a fifth round stoppage over Mark Hunt. He was dominating most of the fight. I'm always surprised when Mark Hunt goes more than 3 rounds. He's definitely a durable type guy who just keeps fighting, but he was stopped at just under 3 minutes in round number five, where Stipe basically finished him off with a TKO, and I think this completely knocked, Hunt out of the heavyweight title picture, at least for another year or so. But I'm not sure if he's ever going to be able to work his way back up there. This is a valuable win for Stipe because he's coming off of that kind of controversial loss. Some people thought he defeated Junior Dos Santos. I thought that it was definitely a close fight, but I thought JDS had won. But this helps Stipe kind of keep his name on that short list of fighters. Definitely since JDS has gotten so many wins, has fought Cain Velasquez so many times and hasn't been able to get the title back. I think that Stipe has an inside track to getting a title shot, especially if he can leverage being just a different face in the organization. I hope that they do give him the opportunity to face the winner of Cain Velasquez and Fabricio uh, Werdum. I don't think he defeats any one of those guys, either one, just because of the fact that I don't think he will be able to deal with Kane's wrestling. His striking is definitely. I think he could probably hang with Kane in the striking department, but he won't be able to deal with just the wrestling from there. And with Werdum, I think that would be a closer fight, but I just think that the Brazilian has more ways to win than Stipe does. I don't think that the fight will end in a submission, but I could definitely see Werdum using his grappling to control a lot of positioning there and just basically run up points, which are equally as important in this day and age. So yeah, I still would be interested in seeing Stipe fight either one of those guys coming up after UFC 188. I don't think that is like a pay-per-view main event type fight, but it could definitely be a co-main event on one of these cards that features other champions. I've mentioned before, I think the UFC is moving more towards a model where they feature double title events just to kind of keep these cards interesting if someone pulls out due to injury. And I think that would be the right way to move with the heavyweight title. In the co-main event, Robert Whitaker stopped Brad Tavares in 44 seconds. So I remember when Tavares was becoming an interesting name to watch. I think this is his fourth loss in a row. Let me double check. Yeah, I know he's definitely been going through some hard times. I think this is his fourth loss in a row, and I know Whitaker has been on a pretty solid run as of late, especially after he stopped Clint Hester. No, this is Tavares' third loss in his last four. So yeah, it was definitely yeah, he definitely the one took a pretty bad stoppage there. He got clipped pretty badly and went down and was unable to continue after just 44 seconds. So that was a bad loss for him. But Whitaker, on the other hand, he's someone that I've always been interested in. He's so young. He's only 24 years old. I forget how young he is, and he's on a three-fight win streak. I remember when he's been putting together some good wins. He had that great fight with Stephen Thompson back at UFC 170, where he was stopped in the first round. But since then, he's put on three good wins. He's had two finishes in his last three. So I expect some interesting matchups for this guy going forward. He is 5-2 since joining the UFC back in 2012. So yeah, the Australian is definitely doing good. He has some great boxing. I definitely love watching his striking abilities. He uses his range very well. He definitely throws a lot of combinations. So being someone who enjoys boxing as much as I do, I definitely appreciate him when it comes to MMA. So let's go forward from there. Sean O'Connor defeated Anthony Hirosh via TKO. And this one right here, I guess Robert Whitaker was trying to upshow Sean O'Connor because Sean finished Anthony in 56 seconds. And so this is another. This is a heavyweight fight here where this was one of those fights on this card where it wasn't a whole lot of value, but Sean definitely got the finish. And he finished him off very quickly there. James Vick and Jake Matthews. Vick got the submission win at 4:53 in the first round. What am I talking about? Via guillotine choke over Jake Matthews. I'm not too familiar with Vick or Matthews, but that is how that fight finished there. Daniel Hooker, probably one of the more surprising wins of the night, became the first man to stop Hatsuki Yoki when he caught him with a head kick and finished him off with punches in the second round of their fight. This is one of the fights I was kind of looking forward to. I thought it would be more of a grappling affair, but to see Yoki get put out via strikes is kind of disturbing. I think he's going to be cut from the UFC. He was expected to be a pretty big name when they brought him over, but he hasn't been able to flourish. He had probably his best showing was against Bart Palashevsky back at UFC 144, but since then, he struggled. He lost 3 in a row to Ricardo Lamas, Clay Guida, and Darren Elkins. Even though he won that Clay Guida fight, he got screwed there. But he lost those 3. He defeated Ivan Minjavar, and then he's been stopped in his last 2 by Charles Oliveira and Daniel Hooker. So I don't expect them to see, or I don't expect him to be kept on the roster. He's only 31 years old. He's still relatively young. He's been fighting for 13 years. So I wonder what's really next for him. He has some very valuable wins. He's beaten Mark Hominick, Jeff Curran. Who else? He's beaten Marlon Sandro. He's beaten Ronnie Mann. So he's had and he's fought some other big names in the past as well too. So it's unfortunate. I was a fan of his, and I am a fan of Hatsuki and his style. It's unfortunate to see him drop another fight in the UFC. I think they're going to end up cutting his contract, and he'll probably go back overseas and keep fighting back in Asia. But that's still a sad turn of events in my opinion. Booker, on the other hand, continues his winning ways, and this is a big win for him because it gives him an opportunity to kind of show, that he's going to be around to stay. He had lost his, he was 1-1 at the time in the UFC. So this is definitely the biggest fight of his career, and it's definitely the biggest win. So hats off to him and stepping up to the plate and taking the victory. The next fight I'm talking about is Kyle Note, Jonathan Webb. This is the first fight I saw, and this is I think this is a little bit of home cooking here. Kyle Note and Jonathan Webb definitely gave, I thought, was probably one of the better fights of the night. And both fighters had their moments. Webb was using his wrestling, was using his striking very well actually to set up his wrestling. Then some good shots that staggered Note, dropped him in the third round, and he scored some takedowns. While Note definitely was responding with his kicks. He stopped a couple of Webb's takedowns, which was pretty interesting because I didn't think he was going to be able to do so. But he was able to do just enough to get a split decision win on the judges' scorecards. The scores were 30-27 in the favor of Webb, and then 229-28 in the favor of Kyle Note. So yeah, I definitely don't agree with that. Yes, Jonathan is someone I know. He's been on the show before, and I hope to have him back on again in the future. But I still think that this was a tough decision loss for him. It was obviously his UFC debut. He has a lot of potential. He's a prospect that a lot of people have been watching for a past couple of years. So he was an underdog coming into this fight, but a lot of people had picked him to win. But I guess the judges didn't see it that way. I'm gonna lean towards just the hometown crowd. This was in a neutral site. I think that Webb would have been given the scorer's decision, but that's neither here nor there. Both guys will be back, and both guys will look stronger going forward. Sam Alvey defeated Daniel Kelly in 49 seconds. So, this is the third stoppage on the card that took less than a minute. Probably the funniest moment was when Sam Alvey challenged Elias Theodorou for a hair versus hair match, which I would love to see. I hope these two guys sign up and kind of make that, that little gentleman's wager to cut their hair if they lose. I would love to see it, but he joked around and after defeating Daniel Kelly that he would like to fight Theodorou in a hair versus hair match. I think it's awesome. Beck Rawlings defeated Lisa Ellis via first round submission with a rear naked choke. Bradley Scott defeated Dylan Andrews with a guillotine choke as well in the second. Alex Chambers defeated Kaylin Kern. I thought that Kern was going to take this fight here, but I guess she was unable to get the job done. She was tapped in the third round via armbar. Brandon O'Reilly defeated Vic Gruzic, I think that's his name, via decision, and Ben Nguyen defeated Accepted Killer via KO at 4:59 in the first round. So again, this is a pretty late card. I'm not sure if a lot of people sat down to watch it. It was definitely late. Started at 11 on Eastern Standard Time. Went well into the morning. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people decided to skip this card. But either way, this is another opportunity to see some of the lesser known talent on the UFC roster take the next steps in their career. I'm definitely interested in seeing what Rollins does next, what Jonathan Webb, what his next opportunity will be in the octagon. I'm looking forward to seeing Daniel Hooker and Robert Whittaker as well. And I hope Stipe gets a shot at the title coming up. So some interesting stories to look forward to going forward. Adam Martin is going to work on his fight fixing, where he predicts the next matchup that the winners and losers of the card should go on. So keep an eye out for that upon MMA Ratings, probably later on today or tomorrow. That brings me up to the moment of the card of the show where I do a preview of the next card coming up. So I want to talk about Bellator 137 and also UFC Fight Night 66, which features a fight that I've wanted to see for years with Frankie Edgar and Uriah Faber fighting at 145. They are fighting in the main event in Manila in the Philippines. So UFC is trying to bank on that whole thriller in Manila storyline from Ali Frazier back in the day. But this is a totally different era, totally different sport, totally different star. So that I hope that I don't want to see any of that, to be honest. But either still, Edgar and Faber should be an awesome fight. I expect a lot of action. I expect a lot of combinations, a lot of exchanges, a lot of grappling, a lot of wrestling. I expect everything. Like, this is going to be a full-on MMA fight to me. I think looking forward, I think Edgar is going to be able to take the win just because I think his movement is going to be better. His wrestling is better than Faber's, and I think his striking is better too. Because Faber kind of tends to wait on his opponent so he can counter strike there, and you don't want to wait on Frankie. You don't want to give him the opportunity to move and pop shot you and mix in his wrestling. So I definitely see Frankie taking this win. I don't think it'll be easy at all. I think Faber will have more fight for Frankie more than Cub Swanson did. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait to sit down and watch these two go. I still don't think this is the type of fight that allows Frankie to become the number one contender. It definitely keeps him in that conversation group. So like with guys like Conor McGregor and all those other jokers that are talking right now. But this is a great fight. Something I've been looking forward to for a while. I believe there was a rumor was that they were trying to get them to coach an Ultimate Fighter against each other a while back, and that fell through. So either way, I can't wait to see these two guys go. The co-main event is another interesting fight for me. Gegard Mousasi and Kostas Philippou. These are two guys who have the ability to throw hands. And as I just mentioned, boxing is something that's very important to me, something I think that's kind of uh, neglected in mixed martial arts. So I'm looking forward to seeing these two guys go in the um, in the cage. I took a lot of technical striking. I see Gegard winning this fight just because he has more ways to win. Costas is mostly a striker who uses that and his pressure to kind of keep guys on their heels. But Gegard has the ability to counter strike. He slips and moves and avoids punches very well. So it's something that I'm looking forward to seeing. I think he has opportunity, just more ways to win this fight. So I expect him to take the victory here. Mark Munoz and Luke Barnott. This is Mark's last fight. He's announced win, lose, or draw. He's going to retire. He just recently closed his gym here. I've never been a big fan of Mark Munoz, but I would like to see him go out on a win. He's had some hard times. He's gone on some hard times since that fight with Chris Weidman a couple of years back. So, I would definitely like to see him go out on a victory here. I think he could definitely take this win. This is a type of fight where he could definitely win here. He is Filipino, so he's going to have the crowd behind him here. I just hope that this is a fight that he can win so he can walk away from the sport with his head held high. Who else we have? Neil Magny and Young Guy Lim. This is another fight I'm looking forward to too. Just because Magny's been on that winning streak that people kind of joke about. He's won. See how many he's won? One straight. I want to say five now. He's won six straight fights, and five of those were in 2014. And then he started off 2015 with a submission win. So people are often joking about this guy just because of the way his early performances went when he fought Sergio Morales and Seth Paczynski. But this guy's really turned a corner, and I like what I'm seeing out of him. So I'm looking forward to seeing this fight. Lim is a very, very tough fighter. He doesn't get a lot of um, attention, I guess, because he is from South Korea and he doesn't speak English. This dude has been wrecking guys. Since coming into the UFC, he's finished three guys, two of them in the first round and one in the second, and it's like all vicious stoppages. Then he had that crazy fight with Tarek Safady to start last year, where he was just eating those. He was taking leg kick after leg kick and just kept fighting. He had Safady hurt at the end of the fight, was unable to get the finish. So this is the type of fight that I think will be very interesting to see if Magny can win. Because Lim is going to drag him into some deep water here, and he has the ability to take damage. And Magny isn't the type of fighter that strikes with the intention to finish. He strikes if he seems to fight with the intention to score and with the intention to get the judge's attention. And fighting Lim like that is going to be very dangerous because Lim is trying to finish with every strike. So I'm interested in seeing if Magny's going to be able to deal with that type of pressure. That's probably like the last fight that has like any really big names. Obviously Link Nova is coming back to the UFC. And this guy's always going to be known for that. He's a lightweight Anderson Silva comment that Dana White made a few years back. But yeah, Nova's back. He's fighting come up of a 3-fight win streak. Because he's been fighting in Bellator, fighting in Ring of Combat. So he is coming off of 3 straight victories. He was cut from the UFC back in 2010 when he lost his third straight fight to Rob Emerson. But yeah, so he's joining the promotion once again. It'll be interesting to see what this Renzo Gracie fighter will be able to do against the Korean Yu Chul Nam, who I don't know much about, but just looking at his record, he's definitely he's won 8 of his fights by knockout, one by submission. He's riding a let's see, 5 fight 1, 2, 3. Well, yeah, 5 fight win streak. He last competed back in March of last year, where he won a split decision over another Asian competitor there. But that's where he's done most of his fighting. He has one of probably the biggest name. He's defeated Hakan Diaz, which is a pretty big name there. He fought Dave Jansen, lost there. Let's see, no one else that really stands out to me. So yeah, I'm interested in this fight just because I've been a Elite Nova fan. I don't think he's as bad as everyone makes him out to be. Going down the rest of the card, I really don't know too much about these guys. I'm interested in seeing Royston Lee fight though. This is his second, third. No, this is his third Octagon appearance, and he's already won 2 straight. The UFC is trying to find a guy where they can kind of build upon over in Singapore, over in the Asian countries. So this guy's 28 years old. He's fighting out at 135. He's gotten 2 wins here, and then he's looking to get his third here against another guy who's relatively young in the sport, someone who is 4-2-1. So let's see, let's see what happens, man. I'm cognizant of the way the UFC is kind of booking these guys because they want to make sure that they have the ability to build these stars up and not put them against the toughest of the tough. But I want to see we get challenged, and I think this fight maybe pretty challenging for him. So we'll see what happens with this fight. Yeah, we'll see. I think that's really that's the only real value I see on this card. I can't really think of anyone else. Diego Lima is on the card. Douglas Lima's younger brother. So we'll be interested in seeing what's next for him. But there's not really too much else on this card. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the main card, seeing this main event, and hoping that it's just as action packed as I've always thought it would be. Favorite versus Ever is a fight that I wanted to see for years, and now I'm glad that it's finally happened. I'm also going to talk about Bellator 137. This card is going on Friday, March 15th. Excuse me, May 15th. So this fight will be going down in California, and Brandon Hawley and Kendall Grove. I think it's an interesting fight because I've been a fan of Brandon. I think he's someone who has a lot of potential. I was high on this guy when he was in the tournament. I think 2 years ago is when he won that tournament, and then watching him defeat Alexander Shlemenko last September was awesome as well too. So he's 8-0, undefeated, and he's only 28 years old. So that's definitely something I think that's more in his favor. He's very diverse in the way he fights as well too. Even though most of his wins have come by submission, he has the ability to land knockout power. He definitely has the ability to land knockout power, and he's shown that in a lot of his fights because he seems like he's swinging for power with every blow. But his submission skills are awesome as well too. So I was definitely, and this guy's he has the ability to he has the opportunity to be a star. He's from that Huntington Beach, California area, so they know how to play it up. I hope that this guy continues to win and does the most with his career while in Bellator and using that platform. Eduardo Dantas and Mike Reitman are also fighting as well. I can't remember. I don't think this. Let me see. This fight isn't for a title, is it? No, it can't be. No, but I think Mike Reitman is an injury replacement. No, it's not. Okay, so I thought it was a injury replacement. Yeah, okay, so Mike Reitman got injured before. They were supposed to fight earlier, but Reichman got injured, and they rescheduled the fight for this card. So yeah, there we go. But I'm interested in seeing if Dantas can rebound off of that loss he took to Joe Warren. This is a big fight for him, definitely, because if he's expecting to get back into that title picture, he's going to need this win here. But Bison is riding a two-fight win streak. He recently stopped Dan Fan in November, and he has the ability to defeat Dante. He definitely can. He can hang with him in the submission area, but he hits hard and he hits hard very often. So it'll be interesting to see if Dante can deal with that. People forget that he's from that school of no Uniao guys who work as tough all around, but they're not invincible. So we'll see if Reichman can kind of slow down Dante once again and get closer to getting a title shot. There's a couple other stories that are going to go on this Bellator card as well. Probably Benji Radich is returning to MMA, but I cannot talk this morning. Who else is worth keeping an eye out for? Hmm. Not really sure what else. Who I don't know too much about the other guys on this card, but I plan on watching this event this weekend just to hang out and catch some free MMA. So that's Bellator 137. That's set for Friday from Temecula, California. Be sure to catch at least catch the main card, guys. If you're MMA fans, the main card should be pretty good, and the main and co-main event should definitely be worth your time. Okay, so let's talk about some of the news that came down from the world of MMA this week. I want to start with Anthony Pettis is injured again, and he's out of the fight with Miles Jury. Edson Barbosa is now stepping in to take that fight. Let's see. So I haven't heard what the injury is or who's his elbow. So he's not fighting on UFC Fight 16, which was scheduled for July. Miles Jury is now going to face Edson Barbosa, is coming off of a loss to Michael Johnson. Jury is coming off of that loss to Donald Cerrone. Let me see who else is still doing it. This is Pettis. I have no idea how many times he's been injured at this point in the career, in his young career. I hope I hope he can just do the best he can to stay healthy, get healthy, stay on the sidelines as long as he needs to right now. But yeah, it's pretty upsetting for his fans. I think that was definitely a fight that he could have won. I'm actually surprised that they gave him because I thought Jury was someone that they were trying to build up as the star as well too. But I thought Pettis was going to be the odds-on favorite in that fight. Now Barbosa versus Jury is definitely a fight I appreciate just as much. I'm going to lean more towards Miles in that fight just because I think he will be prepared for Barbosa's striking ability, and he'll be able to score takedowns and kind of control the position, and even have the ability to submit Edson as well on the floor. So I'm going to lean more towards Jury in that fight there. And this card is actually shaping up to be a pretty good card. UFC on Fox 16. TJ Dillashaw and Henry Brown main event. Edson Miles George, the co-main now. Misha Tate and Jessica Ives. I think it's awesome. Tate continues to stay within the title picture of women's bantamweight. And this is an opportunity for Jessica Ives to kind of cement herself as a number one contender if she can defeat Tate. Rustam Habilo is fighting Dan Castillo. Ramsey Nizzard and Eric Hope. Joe Lozon, who just competed at Metamoris, was tapped last night. He put up a good fight, but he was unable to deal with. I can't remember who he rolled against, but actually, I'm probably gonna talk about that card today too. But he was submitted last night. He's fighting Takanori Gomi. Zach Cummings is fighting. Darren Cruikshank is back. Fighting facing James Krause is fighting a violent fight. Gian Vellante is fighting Tom Lawler. Should be a good one. And Ben Saunders and Kenny Robertson are fighting as well. So we'll see. We'll see what else they add to that event. So another piece of news I would like to talk about is let's see. Let's talk about Ronda Rousey. She was in a recent Business Insider piece that listed her as the most dominant athlete in sports, not the most dominant female athlete, the most dominant athlete in sports. They put together a list of 50, 50 athletes, and she was ranked above, let's see, Serena Williams. She was ranked above Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, LeBron James came in number two. Stephen Curry's on that list. There were a couple of Olympians on that list as well. I was interested to see that Clarissa Shields is actually on that list too as well. But what it looks at you as a dominant as a star and it looks at you in dominance as in performance in the cage and as a star outside of the cage as well. And obviously, why I say cage instead of talking about Ronda. But obviously, she's dominant inside the cage. She's undefeated. Her last two title defenses have combined to be 30 seconds long. Her last two title defenses have combined to be 30 seconds long. So, she hasn't had too much of a struggle there. But just look at everything she's done, man. She's obviously she was just in Fast 7 this year. She's going to be an Entourage that comes out in a couple months. She was a part of WrestleMania. She has the Athena project coming up. She's headlined so many UFC. She's either co-main or headlined the last few times she's performed. She's only 28 years old. Right? So what is like? I don't see her competing past 30. So UFC has 2 more years of her. If she beats Best Correa at UFC 190, I think that Chris Cyborg is next. The Cyborg is finally making that cut to 135. I think it's gonna be dangerous for her, but she's making that cut to 135. Even though she's trying to get a catch weight fight, that's not gonna happen. But Ronda Rousey definitely deserves this position as being like the biggest athlete in sports right now. She's speaking out at a lot of different women's events. So she has that crossover appeal. I think she's the biggest star that the UFC has that they can really it's unfortunate that they won't be able to have her forever or make male and female clones of her that can just be stars all over the place. But it is what it is. I'm glad she's a part of the sport. She is now. I'm definitely glad that she's getting opportunities outside of the cage. I think that's what these athletes need to do. They need to begin to do all they can to find opportunities outside the cage, outside of competition, because their career is only going to be but so long. Some of these guys that have been fighting for, like I was talking about, Hatsuyoki, who's 31 years old, and he's been fighting for 13 years. Well, if he's taking too much damage to be effective, what is he going to do for the next 40 years of his life if he lives to be like 75? So they have to have these different avenues where they can kind of grow into and do other things. And Ronda Rousey is definitely doing that for herself as a as a star with crossover appeal. So she's definitely a model that a lot of people should kind of build themselves after, not only in mixed martial arts but professional sport as a whole. So, that was definitely a big positive note that I saw last week. I thought it was awesome. So another kind of interesting story is that the UFC is going to update their Hall of Fame concept, and they're going to try to create a actual physical location. As you know, right now the UFC's Hall of Fame is kind of like willy nilly, will induct whoever we feel, and leave it at that. But this week they announced that as early as this summer they created different eras for they're looking to create an actual physical location, and they're going to start creating Hall of Fame classes based on certain categories. These categories are modern era, pioneers era, contributors, and fight. So they're going to induct one member into each category per year, starting on July 11th during the Fan Expo. And I think those spots are going to be voted upon. I don't know who will be doing the voting. I don't know who will be doing the voting, but they are definitely going. I remember reading that somewhere that those spots will be voted on as well. So I don't know. Just thinking. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they vote into this group here. They already have some interesting names here. Forrest Griffin, Holy Gracie, Ken Shamrock, Ben Severn, Randy Couture, Mark Coleman, Chuck Liddell, Matt Hughes, T. Ortiz, and Pat Miletich, and Charles Lewis are all part of the group right now. So there's no telling who they're really going to add in each one of these sections. So I'm kind of looking forward to it just to see what happens next. So that is kind of it for this week's show. There were some good fights going on this past weekend. I hope you definitely had the opportunity to watch them. I hope you had the opportunity to look forward to this weekend's fight. I think both of the cards, the Bellator and UFC card, are going to be pretty interesting. I plan on watching them, hanging out, watching those cards. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to listen to the show this morning. Call your mother. Tell her Happy Mother's Day. Be sure you do that. And check out MMA Ratings this week for pieces from myself, Adam Martin, and everybody else on the team. You can always follow us at MMARatings.net. You can follow Adam Martin on Twitter and Facebook as well. I'm at R Garcia Sports, and be sure to check us out each and every day for MMA action, and be sure to go on there and rank the fights from what you think was most action packed. And yeah, just be sure to check us out. Have a great day, everyone.